Hello, good morning, and thank you very much for joining me. Now, today's tour is something very, very special. I'm heading out of London on a train to the Sussex coast today, and in particular the Old Town district in Hastings. Now, there are two reasons I'm looking forward to showing you this property today. One, it's an incredibly well preserved and maintained house that was built in 1450, around 1450, which makes it nearly 600 years old. It also makes it officially medieval, and as some of you might be aware, I'm absolutely in love with old historic homes. I can't get enough of them. The older, the better. Two, it was the former home of Sir Quentin Blake. Now, some of you will know who this is, but maybe not. If you don't, let me explain. If you've ever read a Roald Dahl book, you'll be familiar with the illustrations which capture the stories that he wrote beautifully. These are the works of Sir Quentin Blake, and given that this was his house between 1972 and 2022, I'd like to think this was much of the work was conjured up in the room that was dedicated to his studio, which we'll also see when we check it out later. It's now under new ownership. It's had a complete overhaul decoratively, which is no easy task when you're grappling with a Grade 2 listed building. But from what I've seen the photographs so far, it looks exquisite. We'll be listing this place for sale via Unique Property Company website, and as this video goes live, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can have a look at the details. The asking price is $950,000. Right, that's it for now. I'm going to enjoy the journey down to the coast. I'll catch up with you when we arrive. Right, so welcome to All Saints Street in Hastings, and this is the house in question, and I'm so pleased to be here. I've just had the benefit of having a quick walk around, and it is a phenomenal home that I really am genuinely looking forward to showing you. This house is just chock-a-block with historic homes. That's the bottom of All Saints Street. That runs down to the sea and the pebbly beach, and just step across here and we're going to have a wander up to the front door and we'll have a look inside. Okay, a reassuring clunk on that door. Now, this house is extraordinary, and I've had, as I said, I've had the benefit of having a quick wander around before I started this video, and the history and the features everywhere are just mind-blowing. Considering, you know, this is a family home that's nearly 600 years old, it's just a phenomenal place, and it's a real honour to be able to get to work with the owners and my colleague Madeline, who's looking after this one in Hastings. But just to have this one on our listings is a real honour, and we're really delighted. So let's start with that front door. Now, that's the back of the front door. That's an original front door. I mean, you look at it, it's not particularly well cut, and the studding in the back of it is actually our nails that were added to give it a little bit of a fancy look at the time. And then you've got this one of those, I don't know if that's an original lock, but a lock that's going to date back a good couple of hundred years. But so whilst this is an original front door, and bear in mind this house was originally constructed in 1450, this was the back of the door. But in the 18th century, the front of it, the fashion was to have panels shaved out. So that would have been carved by hand in the 18th century, and it would have been a very fashionable thing to do with your door at the time. So the house is fully alarmed, and it's very up to date as far as the interiors, the comfort goes, which we'll go on to as we're walking around. And as you pull in the front door, this is the room immediately to your left, and one of the original parts of the house. This room does date back to circa 1450, and this house was originally built. It was a Wealden Hall, which Wealden Halls do actually originate from Kent, hence the Wealden connection, the Wealden name. But they did build them further into Sussex during the 1400s. They originally were built for yeomen, I believe, and actually, incidentally, the first house that the National Trust purchased and refurbished and restored back in 1898, I believe, was a Wealden Hall, actually in Sussex. It was a clergy house, I believe, but there is a long history of these types of properties across Sussex and Kent. So stepping over into the reception or just the more comfy reception area. You've got that lovely inglenook fireplace there. The original brickwork and the beams and the stonework all still very much on display. The wood panelling on the walls. Now these ceiling beams here, they are different to the ceiling beams in this room. These are broader, and it wasn't until they were built, these were just sort of standard beams at the time, and it wasn't until later they discovered that deeper beams actually had the same structural rigidity as the broader ones, so they looked more elegant and were installed for that reason. Right, if we just pop round to our left here, we've got a door that takes us out to door to the back garden and a utility room, which it's all pretty standard, but room for a washing machine and tumble dryer. I think that's a wood work surface, isn't it? A little loo just around the corner, but always handy. I think as well, as we walk around, there is such a lovely atmosphere. It's a very serene, very still, calm feel about this atmosphere that only houses of this age and the historic properties can really give you. It's just such a pleasure to be in here. Over there, where there's a recess where there's that dresser, that was also another inglenook fireplace that's been filled in over time. But there we go. So step across the dining area and we'll head out to the kitchen out the back. Okay, so again, lovely. I don't know if that's an original front door, but it's certainly an old one, and definitely fits with the style and the elegance that the owners have kitted it out with elsewhere. So we've got this kitchen. It's a very functional kitchen. It just feels like you're in the middle of some period drama. So perfectly executed with everything, just all the pottery and crockery, and then that's the dining area. You've got these wood framed leaded windows, more ceiling beams. I don't know why I feel the need to talk quietly when I'm in a house like this. Okay, now as you perhaps might feel, there are reasons to duck your head in a lot of these older houses, but this is a real anomaly because there is only one or two points in the whole house where I'm 5'11", where I have to just duck over very, very slightly. The rest of the house is really surprisingly has got really surprisingly good ceiling height. So up on the first floor, just on the landing here, looking into one of the bedrooms, and again, I mean, this room it just feels like stepping back in time. I'll show you this. So this is pargeting. If you can see this patterning on the wall, this was added as a decorative feature in the Elizabethan period, and we'll see more of it as we're going around, but it is pretty much everywhere. So to see this and as well kept and restored as it has been is a real pleasure. This colour in this room is a Rose and Jericho paint brand, which is specifically designed for houses like this. It's a lime paint. It's very, very expensive. Every single room in this house has been painted with this particular paint that has to be used because it allows the walls to breathe. If you were just to paint some acrylic paint over these grade 2 listed walls, you're going to do damage to the plaster in the long run. So at great expense, the whole interior of the house has been painted with this particular brand, and it's got that chalky finish that just adds something to it. Another fireplace there. I should mention as well, every fireplace in this house is usable. They've all been cleaned, cleared, swept, so they're all usable. And actually, I've got to show you this. The floor here, some of these original floorboards are just phenomenal. if you can see that, but some really wide original floorboards that still remain. Let's go into the bathroom. And at great expense, again, this has been completely refurbished. I mean, it is clearly, it's a finish that's been added to reflect the style of the house and the age of it, some of it. And that's a Leroy Brook shower unit there, considered to be the Rolls Royce of showers. So again, just another very sort of no expense spared touch that the owners have added in. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, this was Sir Quentin Blake's house for about 40 years. This was his studio, and the owners have got really exquisite taste, and all of this has been added. It's not some sort of homage to Quentin Blake. It is it's just their styling, and they have got very, very good taste. Another fireplace just to my right there. And again, these old painted timbers. The detail and the level at which the history speaks to you here is just amazing. And this additional section, which would again been a studio, is now used as a guest room. But again, you hopefully can see that the ceiling heights in here are great. I'm not having to duck my head. Even with all these timbers, most of them are original. There's a couple of newly added ones, obviously. Now, the pargeting I mentioned earlier down in the other room, this is amazing. So this panel here, these panels across, are all original Elizabethan pargeting, and they've never been painted over. And if I get in close, you can just see just in there, just where the hay would have been used with, I guess, a bit like sort of mottle and daub, but it's just such a pleasure to see something like this and in such good condition. And the fireplace that is gorgeous. I've seen that fireplace working. It's something else when you're just laying in bed with a book and a cup of tea. Just a lovely cosy room. That stairwell doesn't go anywhere, but remember that isn't an original staircase. Just above there is a bit of storage which is just covered, just to stop any drafts coming down, but there will be more to add to that as we head up through the house. And that staircase could be removed. It's not an original. I think the owners have had a conversation with the council about removing it, so they'll just leave it, but if somebody wants to take it out, they can. So we're on the, as you look at it from the outside, we're on the right hand side of the house, which is the newer section. Okay. Duck my head there. That was one area. Now, another staircase. And again, as we head up, more pargeting on the walls there. And this is the dressing room for the main bedroom, which is just through there. But again, another really ceiling height's great. This is overlooking the street, overlooking All Saints Street from to the front. And these beams. So let's go into the main bedroom. And again, this vaulted room is glorious. Right up to the apex there. It's just lovely. And this view here from this bedroom window is great. I mean, talk about historic. I mean, everywhere you look, it's just nothing but old medieval Tudor homes. And that one's quite a well-known little house. That's the piece of cheese cottage, which is next door. And I should say we're end of terrace here. We're not actually attached to anybody on this side of the house. This is the end of one row of houses. Now, where I've mentioned about this here, there's a an access through, where the bed head covers it. But just over, if I poke my head, poke the camera there, you can see that's the storage room, and they just use it for almost like an attic loft storage setup. And that's where that staircase heads up to, just for things like other bits and bobs like Christmas decorations and that sort of thing. So that's where that leads to. You can access it from the bed if you just pull the bed forward. And just to give a bit of history, the owners have been here for a while, but they have done the most amazing refurbishment on this property. When they bought it, it wasn't in the greatest condition, let's be honest. There's no easy way to say it. There was water running down the walls, and it hadn't been particularly sort of well looked after, unfortunately, in the later years. So they have spent an extraordinary amount of money on it. Everything has been done properly, even to the point where these are. The consultation was about central heating, for example. There's no gas central heating here. The opinion was that gas central heating would be actually detrimental to the fabric of the house internally. So they opted for these state-of-the-art storage heaters, they're thermostatically controlled. They emit the right sort of heat that's not going to damage timbers and cause too many problems inside. Then they're controlled from an app, so they're really the most expensive state-of-the-art wall heaters, storage heaters you can find. And this is the ensuite shower room for the master bedroom. Now, they had they had a battle on their hands with the council. Being a Grade 2 listed property, they weren't allowed to have a bath in here. Now, that is not technically a bath. That's actually a shower tray, and this is an outdoor shower unit which they fitted inside, and it's a bit of kit. But just due to the weight restrictions, a proper bath would have been too heavy, so they had to go with this. And this shower curtain is just down on the floor there, but that's just purely because we had the photographs done and it just was in the way. But again, lovely room. Views over towards the garden, two-tiered garden, which we'll go out to in a second. And there we are, that's the interior, and I'm going to head outside now. Right, so this is the back door of the house, and you've got this slightly cantilevered first floor just above us with this wisteria that's all been trimmed back, ready for a lovely, glorious summer. And this is the lower tier of the back garden. So plenty of space for seating and entertaining. Just over to the right there's the side gates. So if you are doing any major gardening work, you haven't got to traipse stuff through the house. And then moving on, we've got these steps that will take us up to the second tier. And just as we get to the top here, we have got a lovely, what looks like a very well established fig tree. And another seating area. And this is really nice up here. You're really up at the sort of level of the rooftops, so it just adds another dimension to being outdoors. And it's big. It's some big skies up here. You're pretty uninterrupted. So come summer, once the sun is out and it's nice and warm, it's a pretty private place to be as well. And just over there, that's the top of West Hill. And then you get to see the back of the house in all its glory, and that's where it starts on the far side, and that is the extent of it there. So it's a big house, and also you can get really into the level of detail that the owners have undertaken when it comes to the refurbishment of this. It just looks immaculate. They've really had, absolute testament to them, because they have done such a good job. And then last but not least is the little, what feels like a little secret staircase, but little staircase there that runs just back down to the bottom terrace. There we go. That's the back garden taken care of. Okay, that's today's tour taken care of, which has left me a little bit overwhelmed and a bit speechless, to be honest with you, because it is such a phenomenal, gorgeous house. It's hugely historic. and a really lovely honour and a privilege to be involved in the marketing and selling of this place. It's not drafty, it's not damp, it's warm, it's cosy, and you happen to be buying nearly 600 years of history with this place. It's a medieval family home. It doesn't really get much better than that. So I do hope you've enjoyed viewing this and touring this as much as I have filming it. But on the more practical points, it's a 4-bed over 3 floors. It's freehold. Bear in mind it's grade 2 listed, and the square footage is 2,712 in total. There's 2-tier garden at the back, and we're just by the coast in the Old Town. So that takes care of the tour today. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave any questions or comments below that you might have, and we'll happily answer them. If you'd like to know more or see details, I'll leave those in the description box below, and you can have a look at them. And you can also contact my colleague Madeleine Cooper at Unique Property Company via the website uniquepropertycompany.co.uk if you're interested in viewing or you have any further questions about the house. So thanks again for watching. Until next time, take care. Thanks for joining me.